Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, it's late night Villa Filler action. It's the last regular Villa Filler podcast of the 2020-2021 season. We've made it, Dan, a podcast for every single game. Every single game. League Cup, FA Cup, Aston Villa 2, Chelsea 1. Dan, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm absolutely gutted that I'm not at the Villa Filler HQ for this one. I am in the my semi-partial residence up in Manchester for this one. That's why it's coming to you late. I'm sorry to all of you guys that were sat around. To Ian Fitzgerald specifically, I'm going to name drop my man because unfortunately I haven't got the beer that you wanted me to, because I saw your tweet when I was up on the train here and I've literally just taken to my hotel. Haven't had the chance, but you can bet your bottom dollar, Ian, that I'll be having that beer. That's a promise. Because for you and I both, Dan, with uni and everything like that, and with, as you said, with the season that we've had, it's been one hell of a roller coaster. So I feel like we've earned the drink, haven't we? And yeah, on a personal note, mate, it's a really nice one to touch on, I suppose, because it's been a great season for us, hasn't it?
It has, man. It's been good. It's been long. It's been, it's been stressful at times. It's been tumultuous, but I think, what a great season. Not only for us, Dan, but just for Villa as well. I think we can reflect on that now. And we'll probably talk about that a bit later. But, this afternoon was probably the perfect end to the season, really, Dan. We've come off a high of beating Tottenham in, I don't want to say a convincing manner, but it was certainly a convincing performance. And that's translated again today. Villa did by no means dominate this game, but we looked really effective. We looked really disciplined for large portions of the game, took our chances very well. And, I tweeted from the account today, nature's healing. Aston Villa are beating Chelsea. Jack Grealish has played a full 90 minutes as captain. We've had two academy lads come on off the bench in JJ and Carney, of course. I mean, everything's coming at Millhouse, Dan, isn't it? It's amazing.
No, it really was, mate. And there was some really nice symmetry because, it was our 1000th Premier League game and our 500th at Villa Park. And obviously, it was nice. It was the end of the season. After such a good season, we then had all the fans in, all those different aspects that you then talk about. There's a real nice sort of symmetry to the whole game, whereby it sort of felt like it was an experience that was sort of pent up to perhaps be something special. And, even if, regardless of the scoreline, the nature of like getting fans back in and everything like that sort of solidified that. And as the game started, I was a little bit nervous because I don't think we started particularly brilliantly. Like we didn't get an extended kick of the ball until it was going on 20, 25 minutes, and we were just taking rounds and rounds of attacks from Chelsea. And I was thinking, man, this is going to be a long, long afternoon. But the boys clearly had a game plan. The game plan was clearly set up to see Chelsea have more of the ball, and Villa were okay to let them do that for large portions of the game. Then as the game grew on, I felt like Villa grew as a force. We had a little bit more possession. We seemed to grow in stature and in confidence, as you tend to when you have more of the ball. That's my main worry, is when you sit back and you do opt to play this counter-attacking style that Villa do, is that I don't often think there are too many things in a game which can just build up a little bit of, especially against a better opposition, where you can just build up a little bit of confidence, then just keeping the ball, knocking it around. You don't not necessarily progressing, but just for 30 seconds a minute, having it all amongst yourselves, just having the choice to be the dominant force. And Villa didn't really exercise that for a little while, which had me concerned. But I mean, we got the goal that we needed just before half time. And I felt like that was the final, the cherry on the icing of the cake on that first half from Dean Smith and his tactical team, because from where I was sitting, it seemed to work a dream in that regard.
Where were you sitting, Dan? Talk us through it, because last time we spoke, obviously, none of us had luck in the ballot, did we? Here we go. Mr. Wiseman sat amongst Villa social media royalty at Villa Park, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. So I was in a B block Trinity. Again, I'm sorry to everyone else that expects me to come on this and be as part of the Holte, obviously. So I was like, yeah, upper Holte, mate, absolute dream. No, not me. B block Trinity. But I mean, mate, I would have sat on top of the scoreboard for that one. It was my first Villa game since the Leicester semi-final at Villa Park. That is, obviously, I was at the League Cup final, so it was like my first Villa game in like 400 days or something crazy. And it just felt surreal, mate. Like walking up the steps, seeing the turf, and like when the boys first came out for the warm-ups, and just being a part of that experience was absolutely nuts. And just shout, I don't think too many people have done this, so I just want to take shout out to everyone at Villa for putting on, because it seemed from where I was at, ran seamlessly. Everyone knew what the fans knew what they had to do. I walked in, there was no confusion. Everything was mapped out clearly. The stewards, everyone on the turnstiles was great, really helpful. I had absolutely no problems. I didn't know anyone with problems. Finding the seat, everything seamless. So shout out to everyone at Villa, because they smashed it. To be fair.
To be fair, yeah, we've got to give them credit for that. When I've been, obviously there's been no fans, but everything's gone seamlessly. They've all been really helpful, and it's going to be a bit of an adjustment period, especially when there's more fans back in there. So hopefully when it's 42,500 back come August time, everything continues to go smoothly. If it doesn't, there's no stress, because we're at the Villa, guys. That's all that matters. I think as well, something that we do need to probably mention, Dan, is we do like to talk about these kind of things when they happen, and kind of give our thoughts and how we're feeling. Obviously, since the sort of project restart, since the murder, I think we can say it now, of George Floyd, because he's been convicted. Players have been taking the knee, and to show solidarity to movements like Black Lives Matter, and which is something that here at the Villa we 100% promote. We are pro taking the knee. People, whether you agree with it or not, that's one thing, which we don't really want to have to discuss here, because this is the Villa. We're going to talk about post-match stuff. But whether you agree with it or not, I feel like you have to keep that to yourself. It was very disappointing to hear, and it was a minority of people who were booing at players taking the knee, because ultimately those 11 players that are standing out there on the pitch represent us. They represent Aston Villa. They represent Birmingham. They represent the core values that we as people subscribe to by being fans of Aston Villa. And regardless of whether you agree to taking the knee or not, you have to pay them players that amount of respect, because that's what they believe in. And you give them their back in for the other 90 minutes while they're on the pitch. Why can't you give them that back in for 5 seconds for a cause, just standing up for social injustices that they believe in? It was really good to see the response from the rest of the fans there, Dan. I know you weren't the one booing. I know it weren't you, Dan. I know you're booing. But Ty's come out and said he's expressed his gratitude to the people who cheered, the disappointment to the ones who didn't, and let's be honest, ruined the occasion. It was very disappointing to hear that. You don't want people like that kind of tarnishing the day, the occasion, what it means as well, because it takes 5 seconds to research that Black Lives Matter isn't a Marxist movement and all this kind of nonsense that comes out. So yeah, sorry to get political, because we've kind of been lambasted for that in the past, which is Dan and I don't give a fuck when it comes to stuff like this. We have to speak up on it. So yeah, shout out to everyone who drowned out that noise. I'm hoping when we return to Villa Park, there is none of that in terms of the booing and that. We have to support the players, we have to support the cause, we have to support injustice, and speak up on it when we see it. But I think we'll put that to bed now, Dan, and talk about the game. I felt like I needed to get that off my chest, because it's something that's been bothering me. But as you alluded to earlier there, Dan, Villa weren't really in the game too much at the start, and I feel like coming into this game, Dan, Villa actually, the scenario in which this game was happening really suited Villa, because there's a 3-way shootout going on for Champions League football, right? You've got Leicester, you've got Chelsea, you've got Liverpool. Nothing is guaranteed, right? And Leicester are playing Spurs, who are again fighting for Europa Conference League, I think it was, which is a bit unfortunate for them. And Chelsea had to come in this game, and Chelsea had to attack this game. Now, of course, they ended up losing, and they still qualified for the Champions League due to how the other results have panned out. However, Chelsea had to come and get a result at the Park. And playing in the system they did, the 3-4-3, and something that I'll come on a bit later on is the selection, Dan, but it very much plays into the hands of a 4-2-3-1 if you are disciplined and if you choose to attack wisely down the wings, which is largely what Villa did, Dan, when they had the opportunity to counter-attack. Because again, this wasn't a game where Villa had heaps of possession, but we picked our moments really well. And more often than not, we actually had Chelsea on the ropes every time. I feel like, we kind of hoofed that ball up with whether it be Ollie, Anwar, Jack, Bertie running into that space that is left behind the fullbacks, the wing backs, sorry. It really felt like Villa were going to score from every single opportunity, didn't it?
Yeah, we were, I think you were exactly right. Villa didn't have a lot of the ball, just 28% possession today. In fact, we only made 250 passes, which is not a lot. When Chelsea made 600 today, and sort of that tells the tape in that regard, because and that was Villa's system. It has been for a long time, mate. We all know that Villa are better on the counter, and I think when Villa got the ball, there was that roar of the crowd behind them, and you felt like the Villa boys really wanted to put it on for the boys and the girls in the stadium, because they felt an onus, I think, to sort of to give us that. And I think they were perhaps a little bit braver in some regards than perhaps they would have been in other games, because they knew that the fans were behind them. And it was great to see Jack out there. But for me, mate, one thing that weirdly I kind of got a lot of solace from is that this wasn't a Jack inspired performance. I didn't walk away from that game thinking, oh my God, Jack Grealish has dragged this game to 3 points. People are going to be saying, and there's definitely an argument that he raises the performance, but it's no coincidence that since Jack's back, his first two full 90s, we've got 2 wins against Spurs and Chelsea. That the evidence is there for all to see. But Jack didn't lead this team to victory today. He still had a very good game. There were still moments where he left me completely aghast, where I was like, wow, he's amazing. But it comes down ultimately, again, to 2 guys who have been said that they're not up to the level of Jack, that Villa fans have written off in the past. And considering one of them joined like 8-9 months ago, is crazy to have written him off already. And El Ghazi gets the pen. But for me, obviously, given the name that's on the back of this shirt, there's one man that I want to talk about. He gets the goal, he wins the penalty, and against his former team, like Chelsea, who deemed him not to be quite up to their level, who sent him out on loan to a few different clubs, who he eventually sought to leave to go to France to make a name for himself. A really sweet afternoon for Bertrand Traore, who I felt like in front of the Villa Park faithful really announced himself to those fans, to some people that might have doubted him, and said, no, look, this is what I can do. I can be the guy. And he's come up for us time and time again this season, mate. And there's something so sweet about him and El Ghazi leading this team on this day to victory, because they can really turn it on. And I hope that this is the day where all Villa fans are now united in saying that these players have a place at the club for a long time to come.
Absolutely. I mean, Dan, how many times have I texted you after I've been at the games being like, you won't believe how unreal Bertrand is. Like, I know you love him already, but when you actually see it in the flesh and you see it, because I think as like Bertrand plays football, and there are certainly flaws to his game. We're not dismissing that. That even today there were in terms of decision making in the final third. So he is a selfish player. Important to kind of preface the flaws when we're giving him this praise. He plays football like he's a child. It's just football is natural to him. You look at some players, and it's so laboured, and every single touch you can feel the power, you can feel the sense of control. It's just so nonchalant with Bertrand, and he's a joy to watch. And he is going to be one where even when he's having a mediocre game, I think when fans are actually able to see what he's doing and how he's just trying to vibe on the pitch, I think people will like him a lot more. But Anwar El Ghazi, Dan, 10 Premier League goals, double digits. When was the last time a winger did that in the Premier League for Aston Villa? I was trying to do research earlier. I couldn't find it. In comparison to another winger, Ashley Young scored 9 goals in the 2007-08 season for Aston Villa on the wings, obviously in a slightly different system. But, they're putting up numbers that Ashley Young was doing. And, at the time, we're talking about one of the best wingers in the Prem. Now, of course, don't get me twisted. Don't get me twisted. These boys are doing the most. They're not there yet. So, yeah. But, 7 goals in the Prem for Bertie, 10 for Anwar. It's really good to see because, you think of that championship side that we had. The goals, they exclusively came from Tammy Abraham. Last season, I think it was an even split between Jack and Anwar, around 7 goals, which is, not very good considering where we were. Obviously, Wes was injured. There's loads of contributing factors, but We've got a striker that's put up a 14-goal season in his debut season in the Premier League. We've got Bertrand Traore, who, okay, he's played about 14 games in England prior to this, but he's gone up, he's scoring 7 goals. And none of that, he just scores screamers, man. I mean, the goal he scored from the corner, it's one directly from the training ground. It's always something that we complain and criticise about, Dan Villa not scoring from set pieces. And then Bertie goes and pulls out this worldie. I mean, it's so good. The way he manages to chip that ball and hit it off the underside of the crossbar, taking out Mendy as he did so. It was just wonderful. And I can imagine your reaction watching that, Dan, live. It must have just been insane.
Oh, mate, you can only imagine. I was on the train on the way there, and I don't like to promote these sort of things on the podcast, but I have a little bet every now and again. Not much. I was like, you know what? Put a £5 on a goal scorer today. His name was on the back. I was like, Bertie against his former team. Let's put some money on that, £5. So yeah, there was 2 elements that contributed to me jumping for joy when that goal goes in, mate. But no, absolutely buzzing for him, mate. Absolutely buzzing off the bar and in. He loves it, doesn't he? If it doesn't go off the bar and in, did he even score? Apparently not. He absolutely loves those finishes, mate. It was great, but mate, it was such for him, for Anwar, and another player that I really want to single out for a lot of praise. We do it enough on this podcast. You know, this isn't like something that's long overdue, but marvellous Nakamba, man. It was like all the unsung heroes of this Villa squad season, your Anwars, your Bertrands, marvellous Nakamba, absolutely insane today. Absolutely insane. To the point where I'm looking at next season and I'm like, I will happily sculpt that midfield for the majority of the season with him at the base. I think he's been the most consistent player I've seen play. And we love Douglas Luiz on this part. Like, we love him. I'd be really interested to see what he can do with a bit more freedom, knowing that Marv's got his back and he's in that holding position. But with the way that Marvellous Nakamba is playing, mate, and let's hope he can carry this form into this next season. But he's definitely earned himself an enhanced role. Like, I think he's way too good now to be a bit part player. And it looks like when you've got Carney coming in and playing like good minutes today.
Really good minutes.
Really, Chelsea had just gone to 2-1. Game had the potential to turn. It was an interesting stuff from Dean. I was like, okay, wow, like this is how much these guys rate him. Like, to bring him on at that point in the game to try and stop that tide from turning was a big move. And Carney got good minutes, JJ got good minutes, and it's like, wow, when Marvellous is playing like that, McGinn looks like he's playing well again. You've got Grealish back. It's like suddenly there's so much to be excited about going into next year.
There is, man. And, you know, Marv provides much more adequate cover than Dougie has been in recent months. You know, I think we could probably say for the past 6 months at that base of the midfield. 2 tackles today, 2 interceptions, a clearance, 3 blocked shots. Who scored average rating of 7.04, which is, you know, it's remarkable. This is a guy for, I think, about 8 or 9 games when he played, Villa hadn't conceded this season, which is a remarkable stat. And, you know, that in itself just demonstrates how good he is at sweeping up. And again, you know, another person who I think we need to give a shout out for Dan for his defensive contributions today, the player of the season, Matt Targett. And that says a lot to me because, you know, again, I can't sit on this podcast and praise Matt Targett without referencing the pure amount of obscenities that I've thrown his way in his debut season, because he's really come on so far. And I think for player, I think that gives you a really good indication, because obviously we can see everything that's going on, but in terms of how much they've improved, in terms of attitude, in terms of application on the training ground, in terms of just ability as well, Matt Targett's development has been second to none. So it's really good to see that he's been voted for that. And Emmy, of course, winning the fans player, which it was between the two of them, wasn't it? If Jack had a full season, he probably gets it, but I don't think anyone can have any qualms with the players and their respective awards that they've won. And Chelsea targeted, pardon the pun, a fair bit today. You know, down that right hand side in their 3-4-3, which I feel was very confusing for me, that they played Azpilicueta as the wing back with James as the right centre back. Now, I appreciate they can both play either positions. I just feel like James offers more going forward, and I think maybe Tuchel is playing him in this sort of right centre-back role in the back three to kind of groom him for England. I genuinely think you can play Reece James as a false 9, and he does bits. Like, he can play anywhere. This guy he covers every blade of grass. He's a remarkable talent. It was great to see him sort of locking heads with with Jack, with Anwar, throughout the game. But I feel like, had the roles have been reversed, it would have maybe been a bit of a different game. But, Matt Targett made 3 tackles, 2 interceptions, 5 clearances, with, a barrage that was going down his side of the pitch, dealt with it so well. And again, teams, I feel like they're not doing their scouting. The right-hand side is undoubtedly Villa's weakest link. Matty Cash, as good as he is, we've seen more often than not, he does make a mistake against the high, the sort of upper echelon sides in the league. I don't want to call them the big 6 anymore. I'm bored of that. I'm over it. And today with Esri playing there, didn't have the best of games in my opinion. Again, he's not a right back, but I think especially for their goal, he kind of switched into centre back mode, kind of watching the ball. He adopted a position that he would do if he was playing centre back. He was remarkable against Spurs, but it's one of them things you can't complain to him, which he's not a right back. But as well, Dan, Villa today, this really did feel like when Smith first sort of came in, and you hear him talking about players setting traps and winning back possession and springing forward. This was Smith ball in full fruition today, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, mate. It was, and Dean and the guys, as I said, they operated that game plan to an absolute T. I thought we, against Crystal Palace, when we let that lead slip, I put it out as a tweet, and I was like, we don't learn from our mistakes. Like, how many points of this season and in seasons gone by have we questioned game management, where it's like you can see that the tide is turning against Villa. We need to do something about it, and we left it too late against Palace, and that's why it slipped. It slipped away from us. And when Chelsea got that first goal back, even looking at a bit further back, when Werner has that goal without for offside, you're sort of thinking, here it goes. I've seen this movie plenty of times. It's like, and you're waiting for it to happen, but it never came. It never came. What we all wanted to see, Villa kept on the front foot. We didn't stop looking for opportunities. We didn't regress and panic and worry, sort of go inside of our shell and invite Chelsea onto us. We tried to be a progressive force in the game. And I think we did it really, and like to the point where it's really credible that when you look at this game and the way that it unfolded, that you give Dean Smith a pat on the back, because it takes some balls to stand up to that Chelsea side and say, you know what, we're going to keep going at it. We were unlucky. There were opportunities where we could have gone for a third goal. And considering these guys are going to be playing out the Champions League final in not too long a distance, to stand up to an opposition like that and keep it going. Obviously, I know they ended up with 10 men in the end, but even before that point, Villa did a really good job of just staying on the front foot, being professional, and just making sure for the fans in the ground and those watching at home that they didn't end the season on that note, that all too familiar note. And as you said, mate, Dean Smith ball looked good today, and to be honest, I think that reflects like a really well operated wider game plan.
It does, and to have the audacity I say audacity, I guess it's more trust, to bring on the likes of Carney and Jacob. Especially Carney has a cup final tomorrow. It's probably today when you guys are watching this. That to me, if it doesn't work, it's stupid. Obviously, it worked. It's one of them things. It's kind of there's always going to be a sort of flakier second sides to the opinion, depending on the context of the game. But they came on, they didn't look out of place whatsoever, and it's really important that we got this win, because I feel like Villa don't start the season as they did if we didn't. Obviously, if we didn't fucking stay up, then of course we wouldn't have started the season as we did. But that run of games was so vital for Villa, and we carried that momentum throughout the summer with the signings, with the pre-season, and to win your first 4 games, to go unbeaten in the first 6, I think it was, is just incredible. Including a 7-2 demolition of Liverpool. So hopefully these last 2 wins against Spurs and Chelsea will give the players, will give the coaching staff the belief that they really can kick on. There's a 20-point gap, Dan, from Villa last season to Villa this season. We've gained 20 points, 55 points. We finished 11th, 10 points ahead of Newcastle and Wolves. Progress. It's there for everybody to see. Of course, if you want to take things in isolation, you want to take seconds of games where split second decisions have cost Villa points, or a single lapse of concentration has seen Villa concede stupidly or give away a stupid foul. Yeah, you can't judge Villa on decisions that are made in the heat of the moment. Overall, we've gained 20 points that we didn't have last season. We've signed players are still, bedding in. And I feel like we've got a really exciting summer coming ahead, Dan. But I think that's probably a good note to end the podcast on, because it's getting late. We both need to go to bed. And it's the FA Youth Cup final tomorrow, under 18. So maybe there will be a piece of content on that. I'll see how I'm feeling. I was thinking of maybe doing something, but I'll see how I'm feeling on the day. If not, I'm sure there'll be just sort of a 5-minute sort of reaction depending on the result. So you've got that to look forward to. And again, just to reiterate what we said on the top of the podcast, thank you guys so much for the season. This season has genuinely been mad. It's been unfortunate that Dan and I haven't been able to, be together more often for this kind of stuff. But the work that we've put in, I hope it sort of has reflected in the content that we've been putting out, how much we've been enjoying it, how much hard work has gone into it for you guys, because at the end of the day, that's what we do it for. We don't do this for Dan and I. We don't need to record these conversations, because we have these conversations every day. We do this for you guys. So again, just massive thank you for all the support. Any final words from yourself, mate?
Nah, to echo that completely, mate. What a season it's been for the Villa, for you, for I. I can't wait to hopefully get back to some kind of normality next year and see. It's been too long since I've seen you, mate. And even for an off-air beer or something like that, it'd be really nice to catch
Absolutely.
up in the weeks to come. But to you especially, mate, I think on this podcast it'd be rude if I didn't give you the shout out. You're the brains and the beauty behind this operation, mate. It's all the legwork is yourself. I just often turn up, appear on this, and then the rest is left to you. Just to give you a big shout out, mate. I appreciate
kind, mate. I to reciprocate that as well, Dan. You've been amazing. It's come on. Your editing skills have come on leaps and bounds. We've seen some more of that. In the forefront, we've tried new things with previews. You guys seem to have enjoyed. We'll have to get back to streaming Football Manager now. We've got a bit more time. You get back on that save. I've been practicing, so I won't be as much of a noob this time. And yeah, you've got a whole summer, guys, of transfer content, Euros content, Villa fillers, whatever you guys want. We're here to deliver it. So as I say, a massive thank you. If you guys haven't subscribed, please do. It would mean the world. If we could reach, I don't know, I don't even know where we're at now. I think we're at 4.1k, which is insane. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and up for Villa.